Hello, my name is Swanö. I'm from the band Edge of Sanity, and today we're going to talk about the song Twilight from the Purgatory Afterglow album that we recorded and released in 1994, but also re-released in 2024. And Twilight is the opening track of the album, and it's quite an unusual song for Edge of Sanity because it's no fast parts in it, and it's technically not really a death metal song at all. And I think you could actually sing clean vocals all over the song and it would be more some kind of power metal song or something like this. So it was one of those experiments that really seemed to work, and I had the idea to open the track with something more ethereal and ambient with clean vocals, because Edge of Sanity was one of the pioneers in this clean vocals in death metal, since we did a clean vocal part already. Yeah, it was recorded in 1991, but it was released in 1992 in the song Enigma, and that created quite a buzz in the underground scene. And yeah, it probably was one of the reasons why Edge of Sanity could still go on and be a successful recording band, because yeah, it created quite a buzz, just the fact that we had clean vocals, and it didn't really sound all that bad, even though I was still a teenager when I was singing it. But more about that in the Enigma section. So Twilight. Musically, it was one of those songs that it needed to be written around a riff. And I had written this riff at one point, which was kind of inspired by a riff from Nirvana, from the song Negative Creep, and it was all about slides on the guitar neck. And the original version of the riff appeared already in one of the tracks, that it's been immortalized on the pre-production from the Spectral Sorrows, which will be released on at a later time. But for some reason, the tempo of that song, the riff was too fast, so it was cut out. But I always felt that, this is a really cool and powerful riff. It would make a really good verse. But no other track that I ever wrote felt like this riff really worked. So what I did was that I took the riff and I said, okay, this is the basis of the track. Whatever tempo this riff needs, whatever vibe, this is kind of the backbone of the song. So that is how Twilight was created. You took this riff, which is this riff. Yeah, you know it. And then I just worked my way to the left and to the right. So what could be another riff that could work in this tempo? Because in those days we didn't really work with a click track. We just had to think that the vibe of this tempo was probably gonna be okay. And during the remixing of these albums, I discovered that Benny, our drummer, is a very, very good drummer in the terms of, well, everything, but also in the way he could keep a tempo. So without any help, he would just keep the same kind of vibe for a riff. Doesn't matter if it appeared first after 1 minute and then after 6 minutes, he would still play that riff with the same kind of tempo. Nothing that I, as a drummer, could never do. I was speeding up and down all over the place. So here you go, Benny. Thanks for that. And once I had all this melodic stuff in place for the beginning, I felt that this song could expand well beyond the traditional, intro, verse, bridge, chorus that we were actually doing quite a lot at the time. So I felt that I could pay my heroes Marillion a little bit of a tribute. And in 1994, it was still pretty unusual for someone into Marillion to actually even know about death metal. It was kind of popular, but still a little bit obscure. And in this way, I decided to go for a kind of an inspirational tribute. It's nothing like a ripoff or anything, but you just strip the track down to a keyboard sound or a synthesizer sound from a Korg wave station. Which then belonged to the keyboarder in my band Unicorn, Peter Edvinsson. And he kindly let us borrow this and the Atari computer that came with it. So that whole section there was me jamming around on a pad sound, with very evolving vector synthesis kind of thing. And then I just did a narration part describing a scenario, and I get chills just talking about it, because yesterday actually, on the way to this recording session here in Finspång at Kulturhuset, I drove this road again, where I first discovered this thing, like this mist and the elves are dancing and everything that have to do about Twilight, I discovered on this very road. And I actually took out my phone and I started filming as we were driving. So you can see here in the background some footage of how we are driving on the road between Tjällmo and Småängarna. And I remember me and my mother were driving. I might have been, I don't know, 10 years old tops. We were listening to one of the mixtapes that my older brother Dag had left in the car, and it was filled of this, what later on would make my musical DNA. But in this particular moment, we were listening to the Incantations song by Mike Oldfield, which is this very, yeah, it's kind of quite ambient and nice, very much synthesizers and no real, you know, it's instrumental and nothing so super traditional. And you got this, you are driving probably very late in the evening, but still a little bit daylight. And my mother was driving and she showed me there to the left, look, the elves are dancing. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Yeah, you know, in the old times they say when it's foggy like this, you know, and this, and with the mist and everything, they say that the elves are dancing. And she might have told also something about this, that it's the dead are coming back and they are dancing or whatever, or I made that up or I dreamt it, I have no idea. But anyway, every time since then, when I drive that short stretch, I always thought about it. And there was this one time when we were driving this stretch of road again, around the time that I wrote the lyrics for Twilight. And then it all clicked. And it turns out that it actually was supposed to be called Twilight Masquerade at one point. But I guess we always referred to the song as Twilight anyway. And despite the fact that Electric Light Orchestra have a song called Twilight, I decided to shorten it down to Twilight. And it's then a song that somehow became, I don't know, a little bit special. For me, it's one of those big epic tracks that I really enjoy in an album myself. And I am quite pleased with the way it turned out also on the remix version, because I could finally clean up especially my vocal performance. And sadly I couldn't do really much about the beginning, because somehow that was not on any of the tapes I could find. But the rest of the vocal recording I could clean up, and especially the narration part could be you know, treated a little bit more like movie dialogue with some modern tools to dig it out of the depths of the tape that it was recorded on, with lots of hiss and way too much spill from the headphones. It was dreadful. But, you know, I soldiered through, and in the end I'm really happy with the result. And I think Twilight is probably my favorite Edge of Sanity song. It's pretty untypical, but for me it embodies everything that that project at one time was kind of destined to be for me. It still had all the power and some of the vibes of the death metal with the guitar tones and this and that, but somehow it became something different, something else altogether. And that was Twilight.